Cecil talked a lot about people being left behind because they're not deemed to be smart enough to do certain things. But what about whole communities that are left out of the tech discussion? Well, this is nice because we're going to talk about the Beyond Accra issue, all right? An insightful discussion about technology communities that are based outside of Accra. This is nice, all right, for decentralization. Let's find out more about what impact hubs are doing and what impact they're having on tech communities outside of our capital, Accra. So, the moderator of our next panel from Kumasi's Ashanti region is Albert Opoku, the External Partnership Manager of HapaSpace. Albert, where is he? There he is. A round of applause for Albert.
Thank you so much. So my name is Albert Opoku. I'm a co-founder of HapaSpace, which is a tech and collaborative hub in Kumasi. But like to say we're based in the UK, where UK stands for United Kumasi. So anytime you're in Ghana and you want to visit the UK, please feel free to pass through HapaSpace. We're going to have a discussion, and it's more like a conversation with you guys. So we'll have some time for you to also give us your questions, and my panel will answer them. So all of us here are basically based out of Accra and have to base some things in the tech ecosystem. So you've heard the names, you've heard maybe most likely the spaces they're coming from. I'm going to give each of my panel members 1 minute to tell us in depth about what they actually do at their space or their hub, and then we'll pick it up from there. So let's start with Prince, since you're holding the mic.
Well, my name is Prince Bonney. I'm from Takrade in the western region of Ghana. Yeah, and so I run a co-working space called iCODE. What we do is we try to promote the region externally to showcase whatever content the region has to provide for the general ecosystem. So we run entrepreneurship training and tech training for people in the western region to create their own startups and also provide jobs for people, we call them citizens actually, in the western region.
My name is Mac-Gbathy. I'm from Tamale, the northern part of Ghana, and I'm the co-founder and director of Hopin Academy. Basically, Hopin, we run 3 major programs. We have the Entrepreneurship Incubation Program. We have the Last Mile Training. The Last Mile Training is basically a program that equips and gives capacity to college and university students who want to get the skill there. Employment and industry needs. We also run more of consultancy based on startups and entrepreneurship, and we're working really hard to keep the ecosystem in the northern region very, very tech vibrant. Thank you.
So my name is Jorge Appiah, Kumasi Hive, part of the Kumasi Hive team. So Kumasi Hive is a tech innovation hub. We focus on providing a platform for people to turn ideas into innovation and then support it in turning up to startups. We also support existing startups in terms of their business development and growing their business. We are one of the hubs, if not the only hub, that you can technically classify as a high-tech lab, high-tech hub, because we deal with high skilled engineering, production in terms of products and all that. We have a MacCarthy. We have a number of labs like blockchain, AI, drones lab, and all that. So these are things that we deal with. So a lot of our startups are people that come in with zero ideas, and we start with skills, provide them the platform, they innovate, we help them with their startup, and then we help them take it up. But we don't go beyond early stage startup. That's where we end, and then we have other ecosystem players, accelerators picking over from our end. So this is our niche area. This is where we do. Yeah.
Thank you. My name is Dzidefo. I'm from Ho, and the hub is called Ho Node. We are focused on we are a digital innovation hub, and we focus on 3 major areas. It's culture and creative is the first area. We focused on tourism and hospitality issues, and we also focused on agribusiness. We selected those areas because they are the competitive advantage areas for the region where I come from. And we do 3 specific things. The first one is STEAM advocacy. You cannot even start talking about building digital skills. People even don't know that the STEM revolution is going on. So we do a lot of advocacy. Then we do digital skills training, so from coding to digital arts, all concentrated on our key areas which I've mentioned already. And the last one is business support. So those already starting business or have ideas that want to turn into business, or after being trained, have skills, want to turn into business, we provide them the support to go to scale up the business. So that's what we do.
Thank you. I think there are a couple of mics in reading, so you can use those mics as well. So you've just heard from just 5 of us who are outside Kumasi in the house. But George, I want to start with you. Because you are the immediate past chairman of the Association of Tech and Business Hubs. How many hubs are there actually in Ghana so far?
So, yeah, for those who are registered with our network, our current number is 30, but there are a couple of hubs who are not necessarily registered with us. And I think the definition of hubs can sometimes be very broad. So depending on where and how you are defining it, the number can even be more than what we have. But in our community, our current number is 30.
Okay, great. So other figures also put there 40. I mean, based on how you define and classify hubs. But I think for us, saying you have a physical space where people can actually walk into, talking about more than 30 hubs across the country. And majority of these are outside Accra, which is really cool.
Yeah, close to about 50% are in Accra.
That's great. Now, all of us here are co-founders of the house. I'd like to know from each of you, what was your motivation really to get into this space to try and build a hub? Let me start from Brian, actually.
So my motivation is from various sources. Then the distant one was that I had opportunity to study outside the country. And while studying, I got opportunity to study the tech ecosystem where I studied in South Korea. And there's a vibrant gaming tech ecosystem of it. So that's how I met the idea. But when I came back to Ghana, I interacted with people and see how we can actually transfer the skills. And most of the hubs then was most active in Accra. And I think Kumasi Hive just started, and HapaSpace as well. So my main motivation is how can I bridge this skills divide? Because when I go back to Ho and I interact with students, even in the technical university, students in other universities, that's when it dawned on me that we may be in Accra thinking all is well, we're on our mobile phones, but there's a lot of the digital skills divide is really wide. There are students who cannot even check their emails, to be talking about AI that George is talking about. So there's a lot of work needed to be done. So that's where I actually moved to really focus on creating an app that can do a lot of this training and bring everybody up to skill. Because we need to really deal with rural-urban migration. Everybody finishes school wants to come to Accra. I was also in who I left to Accra. So we need to, in order to actually solve that problem, we need to create spaces there for people to do a lot of training. And then they can stay in their space, because we're in a global space now. They can stay in home and work for any company across the world. If you just have good internet, we'll come to that later. So that's my main motivation, it's about bridging the digital skill gap. That's why I'm back to that.
I know George is similar to that, so let me just come to MacCarthy here. Because you are up way in Tamale.
Yeah.
You know, which is like 8 hours to 9 hours drive from Tamale. And MacCarthy is someone who's in Accra almost every 2 weeks. So he's doing an 8-hour drive one way every 2 weeks. You know, why would you go through all this hassle?
I think basically I'm an entrepreneur myself. I run smaller companies. So growing up, doing a couple of things, I actually had a problem with my high school grades, and I had to spend some time home doing all kinds of work, preparing myself for that exams. Yeah. And I wanted to do a documentary. I'm very fan of visual works and filmmaking, so I wanted to do a documentary, and I didn't know how to use the camera or edit. And somewhere in 2012, 2013, you can imagine the internet, accessibility in some places like where I'm from. So what I did was, how can I learn smart and achieve my short-term goals? That was the idea, because I couldn't go for a film school because I wanted to achieve the short-term goal quickly. So what I did was, how I could do was to go on YouTube and use all the available resources on how to edit a movie and the best editing tool and how to shoot a film, how to get the cast and all that. And it was successful. I was able to do that, and I was able to shoot the documentary. It wasn't that like a Hollywood one, but I was satisfied that I was able to do that, achieve that goal. So by then we had a lot of migration from the northern part to Accra, because the whole mentality is that when you are in Accra you can succeed and there's money and all that. Unfortunately the TV station showed that a lot. And some tried to migrate out of the country. So I said, okay, a couple of friends by then at the teenage age I was like, what is your main problem? Why are you moving? People said they wanted to communicate. I said, okay. So it's just communication, communicating your idea, trying to speak to the next person. So you put all your money together and you fly to Europe, nobody there. You go to Hustle, you come to Accra and sleep on the street. Why don't you use the power of the internet? Why don't you sit behind your computer, go to an internet cafe, and then communicate once you know how to use the resources available online. And so I saw that there was a need for us to set up a platform that will help young people to communicate easily, and I am very faster. They don't need to spend money and travel to places they don't know. So that was a motivation behind it, and we started discussing this in 2012, between 2012 and 2013. We came to MEST we did a pilot in 2012, 2013, 2014, we visited MEST to learn about, do a bit of benchmarking and learn about their incubation program. And that's where we started communication, but they realized when they learn how to build the blogs and the Facebook accounts to market their product, now they were getting to a stage of building businesses. So we said, okay, now there was a need to integrate the incubation program, and that's how we started. Yeah.
Great. So basically, from what you're getting, it's more of, we all realized that everything was happening around, and we have to do something in our communities to make resources and opportunities available to other people who don't go through the same hassle we have gone through. Now, that's been one of the biggest motivations for us. So let me start with you, Prince. What's been the real life impact of the things we do? Tell us about iCODE. What impact have you really made?
Well, I would also like to share a bit of, my
the motivation.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, I was a programmer back in the tech university. So my problem, I actually identified a problem that we all got to learn about programming and web design and all that. But then we get out of the school and then we start doing the 9-to-5 jobs, forgetting all the lines of code that we've been taught. So why not start like a software company with your group of friends in the class, so then you can develop software for social enterprises and all that, and then start making a living out of it. So I figured how to actually do that when people actually were using high-end machines to develop, download movies, watch series and all that in school, and I had just a piece of junk. So I spent time on YouTube, time on other platforms to learn about how to develop the system, how to develop graphical user interfaces and all that. And then I had to run a workshop for my friends, so we were about 57, and then I taught them how to develop like a complete system with working databases and all that. And then I figured, so now you know how to develop a graphical user interface, how then do you develop your skills to develop version 1.0 and all that? They need to keep coming up to you. So then why don't you find a space where they can keep upgrading their skills whilst you can mentor them? That's how come the whole co-working space idea came about. So I came to Accra, had some exposure with other hubs and all that, and then I got an idea of how to run mine as well. And then in Takoradi, actually, you have a whole lot of millennials traveling all the way from Takoradi to Accra after university and all that. And then they find opportunities and they never come back home. Whenever they come back home, then it's Christmas or they just come to chill and then go back. Why not let them stay and then have impact on the rest? Because then we keep moving out of our region, searching for greener pastures and all that. So why not create a platform where we can all stay, start our own businesses, and then rather create employment opportunities for people in your community rather than creating employment out there. So I came to Accra looking at people pitching on platforms just with an idea. And then back home, I mean, we have great guys doing great things, but then there's no support, there's no environment for them to actually, pitch or even talk to someone about their businesses. And it's very simple. Here is just a platform. People just pitch. And then there's someone there looking at it, being interested in investing. So why not create the same thing there? And then channel the same attention to the people there, because they also have great ideas. So that's how come I got started. And then coming back to your question.
Okay, then I'll have to shut this. I'm just allow me. I mean, just following up on what you just said is the fact that people can come on a platform, pitch and get opportunities. And I think we just seen that with Cecil, having the opportunity to be here last year, pitch and got opportunities as well. So let me just ask George that question actually. If you can give an example of an impact that House outside of Accra has achieved.
For me, I think House serve a different purpose in our community compared to what we find in, let's say, Europe and especially in Africa, right? And for me, that's the most important thing. And when people try to measure House, the success of Hub, and why do we need Hubs to get up with saying that, what did they do? They're not doing anything and all that. I think we tend to measure it against the wrong metrics. To me, I think that's where we need to start a conversation from. I think one key thing House creates is a place of hope, right? For the first time in our community, you get people who feel that the ideas can be heard to. And for me, that is what matters. So that's the biggest metrics of it all. No matter what is happening, someone walks in and feels that I can do something. He feels that, oh, I can learn something. I can bring an idea to bear. He see others doing something and he get inspired. And that's what we want to change. So Hubs are not just with the traditional metrics of how many startups you have come out with and how many skills are you given. Yes, we do that. The Hive, we do that. All right? But to see people's life change, that is the biggest metrics of it all for me. The way I said it, I can go about and give the numbers of the startups we have worked with, how many, but the biggest of it is the hope, and that's what we lack.
Thank you so much, George, and I think that's what we do with it. We create a space for hope and to give you hope and avenue to believe that they can achieve something. Our last comment will come from Brian. We all face challenges, and I think we've had loads of discussions. So on behalf of all of us, tell us what are some of the challenges House outside Accra faces, and we'll take just a few questions from our audience.
All right, so the first one is the internet. I mean, I don't have to overstate it, but we need internet outside Accra. I mean, 4G is only in Accra and Kumasi. And let me just give a specific example. So in my hub, we've used all the networks, but we've not had stable internet. So we understand that I think this morning the minister was saying it, and the man from NITA was saying it, that the fiber optic cable has been laid from Ho to Bo. And for 2 years now, we've been chasing for us to be connected to it. And they said,
You're not alone.
It's in the pipeline. We'll get it. But people need, without internet, I think we are not even started a conversation on digital innovation. So that's the first one. The second one is about support. And support comes in various ways, but I'll start from financial support for the programs we run. Now, when you come up with a training program, and we did that experiment, trying to do one for free and one paid. Okay, if you do that in Accra, paid, coding, 1,200 people register and come and study. But if in 100 cities for somebody in Ho to register to also learn how to code, it's not easy to come back. So if hubs outside Accra can be supported to run their programs, as well as training programs, for free, that would be a great service for them, because it's about creating a pool of several skilled digital people for us to even start talking about the conversation of digital innovation. Let my colleagues also please.
I'll take just one short, quick comment from Prince.
Tamale has 4G. We also have 4G.
So with the challenges about hubs, with the work that we do, it's actually very easy to find investment for a startup. than finding investment for the hub that actually created or helped created the startup. And it's very challenging. Unlike other ecosystems like in Germany, for instance, the government supports the hub owners to actually build the hub for a period of time to be sustainable, and then if they are not sustainable, then they can pay back the investment, put into the hub. But in our ecosystem now, it's very challenging for the government, I would say, even though they are trying a little bit to engage us on initiatives that's actually going to pay for some of the expenses that we incurred. But I think there's a need for us to throw more light on how best we can help shape the hubs, help them become sustainable. Then again, we can help build more startups and actually finding more investment for the startups alone, because there's a lot of attention on that.
That's very true, because we always hear that startups in Africa has raised $50 million, $100 million, and they're coming from the house, and nobody says how much was given to the house to bring out the startups. Anyway, can we take? Yes. So now we want to take your questions. If you have a question, you can please raise your hand, and myself and my panelists will do our best to answer them.
During the speaking of the panelists, one of you mentioned something that the hubs have to be held up to specific KPIs. So I'd like to find out, what things do you think a hub should be measured by, specifically? If I want to say a hub is doing very well against this one, or see, because you're seeing in Africa things are very different. So what things should we exactly look at?
Right. I'll share a bit of what we in iCODE have been able to do for Western region. Unlike before, there wasn't anything about hubs or even a startup discussion in the Western region. But when we started in 2016, now we have about 125 startups that have directly had investment through our partners that we actually partner with to train the startups. So this is some of our KPIs to actually say we are actually trying our best. Unlike before, when you have these platforms, there wasn't any kind of talk about Takrady or any startup from Takrady coming to be engaged. But now, whatever activity that's actually going on in Accra, there's a bit of Western region startups being engaged. Like recently, we have the Ghana Hubs gathering. We had startups from Takrady presenting their webs. And I think there's another conference that will be coming up, which I think there are also startups coming in and out. And now people are actually looking at ways they can engage startups in the Western region as well. So from my point of view, this is our ways of measuring our impact on our ecosystem in Western region. It might be different from my colleagues.
I think we have two major things. First is product to market. If the entrepreneur or the startup can go through our program and develop a prototype, test it, and it's been accepted in the market, it's one. The second indicator is not everybody is born to be an entrepreneur. Some people feel they can. But after you go through our program and you are not able to give birth to a product or a service to serve the market, the skill that you gain to compete on a global platform, to be able to communicate, to be able to, the skill that you can offer for any employer to get a job in the market. These are our two major indicators. Thank you.
Jorge can also share.
Yeah, something quickly on that. So yeah, I was the one that talked about the metrics. For us, the end goal is what do the youth of Ghana need, right? It's jobs. A lot of these youth results in a lot of things because they just want jobs. So job is the number one factor that we tend to put up there, and impact into to their community. How whatever we are doing is improving the life of the people in our community. So these are for us the two main KPI that we measure with. Yeah.
Right? You want to touch on that for whole node?
So like I said, our first metric to look at is about skills. And by skills, we are not talking about this one-week training thing people do. So we're talking about people who actually, we measure skills acquisition. So from when we can program, there are different stages. So how you have progressed in your skills acquisition. That's the first thing we measure. Then we also measure the businesses the jobs that have been created from the businesses. And like I said, we don't focus. We also came in with the mindset to do incubation, acceleration. But when we got on the ground and we understood the community, we realized no, might not work immediately. So we are focusing more on skills development and the existing jobs. We are providing support. I mean, those already in business. We are providing tech and digital support for them to scale up their business. So those are the two things we are looking at.
And just to add, from us at HapaSpace, one of the key things is how do we make businesses become tech-enabled? So how do you use tech to scale what you're doing? It's a key measure for us. So you might be doing whatever you're doing, or how can you use tech to power it, scale it, and become bigger? Some of these metrics, as we're saying, might not be what an investor necessarily is looking out for. And maybe that's why we might not be attracting the kind of investment that people might think we should be attracting. However, we also need to remember that we are the enablers of the startups, and without us, it's difficult for the startups to also grow. The next question, please.
Okay, thank you very much. So my question is this. During your presentation, you guys were talking about the fact that Accra has gone ahead, and I think Brian made mention that when programs are organized in Accra and you charge, people come, but outskirts, people do not come. I am in Kumasi, and I know that sometimes, even when the program is free, people will not turn up. I know probably in Takrade, Tamale, other regions, you might be facing the same problem. What are you guys doing about it? How can we bring, especially the women, to come for tech programs outside Accra? Thank you.
So from our end, like I said, we came in also with the same mindset of Accra when we got to understand our community better. The first thing we are focusing so much on is building communities. So we have 4 communities. We have a community for developers, community for entrepreneurs in general, we have a community for creatives, and we have a community only for women. So we spent a lot, so in our first 1 year, what we spent our time doing was building community. And when you build a very vibrant community and people feel belonged, then when you start organizing events, people come. And to address the female part, one of the things we learned to do was that when our co-founding team were all male, so when we organized our first event, only guys showed up. So what we did now was deliberately look for female co-founders to be part of our team. And that helped us to now attract a lot of more women into our programs, because it's no longer the face of the organization. It's no longer all about male. And once we have women part of our team and working in a community engagement, it encourages more women to come. So now when we have programs, we do have close to 40, 60. And we deliberately have programs for only women. So currently we're running a creative training program, and it's for only women. And initially we thought we would not have the numbers. But in the first 1 day, by the time everything was open, we had over 50 people registering, women registering. And we were only looking for only 30. So we had to even break the class into 2 to go through the training. So when you make women the face of the program, it helps to attract them, and you must deliberately work on building a community and let them have that safe space to want to belong to the tech space. Otherwise, it will be dominated by guys.
Thank you so much. I know we all have a lot of questions, but our time is really out. We want to thank you all so much for the time you spent in sharing our views outside of Kumasi, and to the Tech in Ghana team for giving us this opportunity. Next year, we're going to ask for a larger allocation. Thank you so much.